Today is March 23rd, 2015, and I have made, obviously, a lot of clips, and if you do follow them, they all they start to make sense, and well, some of them make sense on an individual basis, and then others make a little more sense when in context with the other ones. But I'm going back to a few of them because I was having some problems uploading all the videos, so I was trying to get them all uploaded, and then going to go back and add the descriptions so that it's easier to find, because not everyone wants to wade through my talking about things without knowing exactly what point I'm trying to make in a particular clip. So I will do that so that's easier to follow and more organized in that way. And today, however, I'm going to go ahead and what I was most recently talking about is adding to some of the programming, describing programming techniques that were being used to facilitate rape of me in the future. And this next part is going to be, this is hopefully today I can sort of sum up some of the various things that I've been talking about, because, okay, for example, I first mentioned the facts of when Mike raped me, and then the other times after that and what happened with that. And then I kind of went back to programming, talking about programming and techniques and specificities. I don't know if that's a word, but I hope so. And now I think today I'm going to fill in a few things that I forgot to mention, and which I think will round out the picture a little bit, and give a better idea, for example, as to how this was state-sponsored, as in government-coordinated. And I think that, if you believe me, and I hope that you do, because I'm not lying and I'm not crazy, but if you do believe me, I think it's obvious that this was a government-coordinated thing that has been going on. And I think hopefully you could also step out of that framework of the things that I'm saying occurred, and think about it from like an outside objective perspective. Say you're a member of the public who has nothing to do with the government at all, really isn't familiar with the workings of the government, and just happens to see a woman walking out of a club, shoving her friend to the side, getting into a car with a guy, and going to his house. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Does that look like that is coerced in any way? And then let's say that same person gets pulled into a jury box, and let's say that the woman is later alleging that so-and-so raped her. Well, so-and-so was recording everything and already knew that it would be made to look consensual on some level, at least one of the times. Sometimes I think what they like to do is occasionally a woman gets raped, and then they will try to go at it a different angle and then make sure that they have some kind of documentation that makes it look like she's definitely not raped, and why would she meet up with that person again, that kind of thing. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but plenty of people do know what I'm talking about. So let's say you have this woman, this bystander, in a jury box, and then they're hearing that this woman that they saw running out of the club and shoving her friend to the side, that she's saying that she got raped. Well, then some video comes out, and it doesn't look to her, like the bystander, like she was raped at all. It looks like she can't tell how incapacitated the woman was. Possibly she was very incapacitated, but it's hard to tell maybe from the video. And maybe it's also, just from the appearance, it seems to be consensual. Imagine seeing a videotape, for example, if there was one of, different situation Robin Bechtold, where he's saying, can I do this? Can I touch you here? Can I touch you there? And the woman saying yes, yes, and then not saying anything, and then he's repeating it and getting more insistent, and she says yes. It sounds consensual again, doesn't it? It even sounds like he's asking for permission. And yet, who would really know about hours and hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of programming that went into, and torture that went into forcing that girl to, when she was a girl, and to a preteen age, to be saying yes to psychologist Adams and all of his friends over at his offices and his house, and over at the Peters and whoever else. So I mean, how many people, you know, really are specifically programmed like that and tortured and coerced to do things like that just for the point of being raped by the government and letting the government get away with it so that they can say they did nothing wrong, you know, and that this woman's a liar. So so in the situation with Mike, that's also what the case would be. I think that the other part that I want to add to this now is, you know, I'm not quite sure exactly what all the motives were, and if the motive has always been, quote unquote, you know, Kate Middleton. I don't think it always was, because she wasn't always around. But at some point, she was like at least something that people fixed their imaginations on onto, so that they could, I guess, feel innocent about some of the things they were doing, or feel like they had a motive, or that I would think that was their motive, when who knows what it was really. You know, I mean, someone could have said that, could have been led to believe that it was all about Kate Middleton. Really, there was a different agenda involved. So, what I want to add is, prior to that programming that was done of me in Coos Bay, the programming specifically where I was having to run out of cars and get into a car with someone else, or go, being told in a building, waiting until this person told me that do you want to go home with me, and then having to go out and tell the cop woman out, who was undercover, tell her that I'm not going with you, I'm going with him, and running back into the place. All of those different scenarios where I'm running away from one person to go with another person, that I was made to practice for an entire summer. That programming specifically, what I remember is that it came about after some FBI, sad to say, FBI, and I'm not sure what the other person's position was. I don't know if he was, I'm not quite sure that he was also FBI, or maybe he was like a Pentagon person. And because I used to remember who this one man was, and I'm not quite sure who he was or who he is now. If I think about it more, I remember what he looks like, and I've been kind of looking through some photos of some government officials just to see if I can find him again. But he might be a slightly more local type of a person. So anyway, there was a situation where some guys came out to the house, and well, I guess I can go back even further. There was one year where a man, well, anyway, I guess, okay, from this house, this river house that's out in Coquille, there, which is where my parents, where we went to sometimes, there was a different house, and then there was a river house, and those were the Coquille places. Well, one year, Louis Freeh was over here in this location. He went out to the river house, and a bunch of government people went into the river house there, and they were talking to my mom and dad there, and they all were looking out the window. I was told to leave the house so that they could talk. They're all looking out the window at me like they're glaring at me and didn't like me. Well, one of them was Louis Freeh, and he was not the director of the FBI at the time. I don't even know if he was working for the FBI at the time, but he must have been, I guess, because I knew he was FBI, so I guess he was working for FBI. But I wasn't sure why he'd come all the way out to this area. And the other guy, that's the guy that I don't completely remember who he was. I think he possibly could have been someone from like a Pentagon. He was more of a military guy. But so anyway, it was, or maybe kind of like a county person, or maybe someone from Salem, the Salem area. And I think he was Oregon connected, and I knew that Louis Freeh was from out of the area. So anyway, I used to make a joke, you know, after I met Louis Freeh, you know, like, I'm free, and driving off in the car with him, like that. Well, one day, I was having to get in the car with this other guy who drove the sedan. Louis Freeh was in the back seat. I was in the passenger seat, and sitting next to Louis Freeh was Chris Dabney. I was told it was Chris Dabney. So that's another reason why I have thought that Chris Dabney is FBI. And why Chris Dabney was there, I don't know. I am not sure. He was a younger kid at the time, and Louis Freeh just sat in the back seat and kind of glared at me. He didn't really look like he liked me. He has kind of a sullen look about him when he wants to, and like, you know, it's just sort of his "I'm not amused" kind of look. And this other guy was really more talkative and everything, the driver, and he started asking me some questions about Middleton. Like, he asked me what I thought about Kate Middleton, or brought something up, and I said, he said, well, you're not afraid of getting into a car with a couple of strange guys, are you? That's how this all came up. And I said, no. I said, well, you guys are from the government, right? Something like that. And I just thought they were joking around, like, no big deal. So I said, no, that's fine. So I got in the car with them, and I didn't think it was a big deal at all. I mean, like, if my parents knew them and they'd been to our house, then probably everything was fine. Well, I saw from the window that things did not look too fine, because a couple people looking out of the window didn't look so happy about the fact that I was just nonchalantly getting into the car with these guys, even if they were government, you know, and supposedly safe people. You know, because I was always getting beat up by government people, but then told these are the protectors, this is the justice. Like, they confused everything. Like, everything that's supposed to be normal, they would confuse. And you know, so like the minute that one of them, I kept thinking, well, they can't all be bad. There are some bad ones, but they're not all bad, is what I thought. So I continued to have blind faith and blind trust in the government and their employees. So yeah, so I got in the car with them, and I don't remember where he was going, because they said something like, you know, go with us to get some such and such, and I said okay. So then the driver said something like, well, you're not shy about it. Well, you're not shy about it like Katie, or something like that. And he made some kind of lead into talking about Kate Middleton. This is like a U.S. person, you know, saying this. So he made some sort of a lead into it, and I just thought, why are they always talking about Kate Middleton? I was getting really tired of it. And so I made some kind of comment back, because I was just tired of hearing about it. I said, I'm tired of hearing about Kate Middleton. I said, what's going on with Kate Middleton? I said, I'm so tired of hearing about her. And I said, she doesn't even live in this country. And it seems like all the people in this government talk about her. And I said, yeah, she'd get into somebody's car. I mean, I'm not like her. Just getting into my dad's car one day. But actually, it wasn't hers. I think it was Michelle Erickson or someone else on that one occasion. I had mistaken who it was. But I made some snide comment about how I wasn't like Kate Middleton who'd probably get into anybody's car. I'd just get into people's car, government person's car, because I knew that they were safe. So after that, this guy froze up, like he led me into saying something, and then he acted like yeah. And this is why we hate your guts. You know, like he acted all cold, hard, frozen, and like full of hatred all of a sudden. Like, yes, what she said just justifies my entire mission. And then Louis Freeh in the backseat was looking really mean and mad too, and sullen about it. Like really, and then he made some comment that was just very clipped and not happy. And then there's Chris Dabney, he's not saying anything, he's just listening. So after that, I'm going on to the next clip here.